What is up, everyone? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now we are in a new build house on this patio, and essentially I'm going to be building like a zen chill out area for my niece who's got a very stressful job and needs a place to relax and calm down on the weekends. Now, regular viewers of my channel will have already seen me build the bigger version of this, so the affinity pond at my parents' house, because essentially I was doing the same thing for them. I've got this opportunity to give them these nice spaces that they can chill out in. This is the smaller version. They call this the view, so it's a little bit smaller. So it's going to fit this corner really nicely. It's a new build property. New build properties in England really aren't that big. They've never got much space. So I think it will sit in this corner lovely. Maybe a couple of chairs and stuff around it so they can sit next to it. We'll pick out some nice fish, we'll pick out some nice plants, and we'll make it look proper cool, a real chill out zone. Now, the Blagdon Affinity range is a great little range of ponds. They're really easy to set up. If you want to move house, you can. If you want to move it around the garden, you can. It's not like you're digging a hole and it has to be there forever and it's a big job to move it. This is draining it down, picking it up, moving it to the other side of the garden, and away you go. Now, the other cool thing with this range of ponds is the fact that they come all in one. Everything that you need, well, other than plants and decoration, is in the box. Now, I have built these several times over, and I think the small ones are the same. You get a really comprehensive instruction manual with it, and I'm pretty sure these are the same, but I am going to keep that to one side, just in case. Now, let's get all this unpacked so that we know what we're working with. So I've moved over to the grass because it's a little bit softer over here and I won't scratch up any of the panels. You can do it on the patio, you just need to lay out a cloth or something like that. I have used the underlay in the past. Now, looking at the instructions, it's actually all the metal work first, so I need to do all of the frame and everything and get all of that built first. Now, as you can see, all the parts are labelled, so we've got C and we've got A and all of that, so it's really easy just to follow the instructions, read what they're telling you and put it all together. One little thing, you always need to make sure the sticker is facing up. That's because they've got little cutouts up here that makes a little bit of a later construction thing easier. Now, while I'm building this, I thought I'd give you a bit of an insight as to the proper reason why I want to do this. So, regular viewers of the channel and people who will have seen me do the dug nature pond, well, no, it was a goldfish pond actually, wasn't it? But I dug that one, and I think day one, day two, Sophie helped me. Now, Sophie is, as I've said, my niece, and Sophie works in a hospital. Now, yeah, it's quite stressful. It's not a job I would want to do, definitely not, but she works for the NHS, and I do want to give her somewhere that she can come home and just relax. Now, next we have to get our woven panels in and slot them in essentially down through here. Now, that is exactly why these are designed with this little notch, so it makes sliding these panels in way easier. And we need, I think it's C, this one. Next part is we need to put all the strengthening rails, and that will tension all of this and give it a bit of rigidity at the bottom. Now, that's the main structure done. That is it. Probably 20 minutes, half an hour work. Actually, we can flip it over now to its right side up. Next, we've got to get the liner in. So I think I'm going to put it back in position so we can see roughly where we're going to go with this. So I'll do this properly in a minute, but we're just going to place the underlay in there just to give us a bit of a protective layer between the liner and the patio slabs. I have swept it, so it should be absolutely fine, but I just like to cover myself. Now getting the liner clipped in is actually really easy because there's just these little hooks up in underneath the rail, and you just hook the eyelet onto there, like so, and you're done. And you just do that all the way around. Lastly, for the liner fixing, we've got these little pins that just push into the eyelets that are left over, and that fixes it to this rail. So as standard, these little affinity view ponds come with one planting basket. Now you can either fix it somewhere there, hang on, I can find the holes. Yeah, there. So you can fix it here or here. Now on the corner pond, obviously it comes with the waterfall. There are other designs. There's, yeah, a few other shapes and sizes and things. So it's well worth checking out and seeing which one's going to suit and fit you best. Now I am just going to go with the one planting basket. Normally I add more because I like more plants. But my plan is where this grassy thing is, whatever that is actually going to get moved, and because I want to create this like Zen garden feel, I think like a nice little tree, like an acer or a maple or something, planted in a pot just overhanging the surface will look cool. That's the vision in my mind. Whether I can find the plant to do it is another question, but that's what we've got planned. Now lastly, we've got to fit the waterfall, so the piping just pushes up underneath there somewhere, so that's on that bit. Obviously this other end of this piping then goes down into the pond and fits to the pump that we'll do in a minute, and that sits back there. So let's find the brackets and get this fitted properly. So the next thing we need to do is we need to get our filter unboxed and set up. Now, as I said, it looks complicated when you first open it up, but it's really not. These pumps are super simple to set up. Now, this is your main pump unit. So this is the pump that actually powers the pond, so your impeller will be down inside here, and that's a little uplighter, so you get that really nice nighttime effect. Instruction manuals, well, I've been using and selling these for years, so if I don't know how to set one of these up now, I'd be worried. And the great thing is I know that I can trust them because they're not going to be breaking down all the time, they're not going to be causing me problems. I don't want to be setting something up in a family member's garden for them to be phoning me every 5 minutes going, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong. Because I know that I've been working with these for so long, I know that I'm going to have a really easy ride once I set this up. And here's the little filter chamber. How cool is that? Oh, and some fittings that we'll need for the top of the pump. So this is the main little filter for this pond. Now the cool thing, and the thing I love about these, is that unlike a lot of water features that you buy, and I've been dealing with them for a long, long time, probably in excess of 15, 20 years, a lot of them just have a pump like this with a bit of foam jammed on the front, and that's it, and they call that a filter, and it really isn't. Whereas these Blagden ones obviously have a foam to catch large muck, the fine floss media to catch the fine muck, then you've got proper ceramic biomedia. So this will house all the good bacteria that's going to break down the fish waste, and it's just going to make the pond easier to maintain and a way cleaner place. Now the other cool thing with this one, being the smallest model, it doesn't actually come with a UV fitted, because most of the time, to be honest, it's such a small body of water, you don't tend to need one, or very rarely do you need one, but you can upgrade them. So you just undo this, slot a UV in there, which Blagden sell as a separate entity, and then you can have a UV clarifier clearing the water. So now that we've looked through the pump and we know what is inside, oh hang on, it would make sense if I actually took these out the bag, wouldn't it? That's better. Right, let's get that in, that on, and then what you've got is you've just got two dials on either end to lock the filter grill on the top in place. So the pump just screws to the back of here. Like so. Simple as that. And then we need some of these fittings to attach it to the piping. Now it does come with all the fittings to do a fountain head, so if you don't want the waterfall on the back of the pond, you can take it off and have just a bell fountain or a daisy fountain, whatever you want. Now what we need for this is this little fitting, that little fitting, which is essentially a tap to slow it down, and that's it. That is the pump put together, ready to be attached to the waterfall. Now I actually got carried away with myself building, because you're meant to thread this cable down the back of the liner and out the back so you don't see any of it. But I got too enthusiastic about building, which is fairly standard. I've just looked back at the instructions thinking, they didn't tell me to put the pump in there, did they? They did. They absolutely did. But the good thing is, like I say, because this all comes apart and it all clips together, it's very easy to rectify this mistake. Now before filling it, I want to get all the electrics in place, done, all wired in, so that everything is ready to go as soon as we've filled it up. Now you do have to check in your local area as to what you are and aren't allowed to do. Luckily for this build, we have got an outdoor socket, so I've got a wire that's just behind me, and I'm going to be wiring it straight to a power safe box. I love using these. They are so simple and so easy. But yeah, definitely check in your area what you are and aren't allowed to do with regards to electrics. Now these little power safe boxes always come with these screwdrivers, so they are super useful. I must have about 20 of them around my house, and if it can't be fixed with a Blagden screwdriver, I generally don't bother. So that's the inside of the unit. You can see each one is fused with a fuse above it, and then you've got all the outlets that you can wire into. This is your inlet from your mains feed. Now the first one can take up to 1,000 watts and the next ones can take up to 300, but this pump is like minimal wattage, so we're not even going to need to worry about that. But yeah, really easy to install. We're going to put a little air pump on here as well. It will just provide a plume of bubbles up through the pond, which will look quite nice, and it'll also add extra oxygen and extra surface agitation for all that good bacterial growth that we want. As much as I'd like to get this filled now, I want to go and find the plant to go in this pond and get them situated and set up before I fill it, because I don't want to fill it and then decide that I want a bigger or smaller pot in this back corner, because yeah, I want a tree. I want a tree to cascade over the top, give it a bit of shade, give it that real sort of Japanese Zen garden look. I think that's going to be wicked. So yeah, I think we need to go plant shopping. Nearly fell over. We're back. It's the next day because, well, I got distracted by the garden centre. Too many pretty plants, too many cool things, but we've got some wicked stuff to go in and around this pond. So we've got to get this bit done today, and then it's just leaving it to mature. But first I better bring in all these plants. Now, apart from the little plant at the back here, this is Cyprus. I thought this was really cool. I've not seen one that cool in a long time. Apart from that one, all the rest of these plants are going in these 3 pots. Excuse the aircraft if you can hear it. But all the other 3 plants are going in these pots. I've lost one. There must be still one pot in the car because I've only got two. But yeah, these are going to go dotted around the pond to give a bit more of a like planted up vibe. Right, now the plane's gone, we can work out how much space I need to move this pond out by, because this big pot here is going in behind, and I don't know if you can see these two really lovely trees. That's going to create my canopy over the pond. So yeah, I've got to make sure there's enough space in behind it. Let's get these potted up, let's get the pond filling, and oh yeah, let's get it looking like a proper little Zen garden chill out area. Now that we're planted up, like I say, I think I want a pygmy lily to go down into this pond as well, but I'm going to have to search for one of those in the local aquatic stores. Now, I should be able to turn all this on, and it should work. Now that everything's running and it's all set up, the filter's running, the air stones are running, we've got our little cypress in there, and we've got our plants around the pond. All that's left to do is to let it mature for a week or 10 days, and then we can finally get some little fish in there, and that will just be the finishing touch to all of this. I love the size of this pond, to be honest, because it could fit literally anywhere. Little decking, a little patio, whatever you've got, you could fit one of these on there. It's only 140 litres, and like I say, there are a few other designs that sort of differ in litrage, but what a perfect little thing to have sat on your patio. You know, when you're chilling out on those summer evenings, you want to sit beside something tranquil and calm. Perfect. I'm going to get on now, use some dechlorinator, use some bacterial booster to make sure this one's ready and raring to go. And in a week's time, well, just over, I'll bring you guys back to see what fish we've chosen. We are back. It's been roughly about 9 or 10 days. I tested the water yesterday and everything is looking absolutely spot on and ready to go. So we've got our first little group of fish, and also I picked up an absolutely stunning pygmy lily. Now, to even this pond out a little bit, I'm actually going to move the air stone over to this side and let the bubbles come up there, because I want the pygmy lily in over on this side just to even it up a little bit. And as I say, this pygmy lily is lovely. So this is a pygmy helvola, which is essentially a yellow one, and it's got quite a few flower buds coming on it, but there's one of the flowers there. It's absolutely lovely. Now, sometimes you do need to raise these water lilies up on something to make sure you don't drown them, but I'm hoping in this case that this one actually is going to be tall enough and big enough to sit on the surface already. As for the fish that are going to go in here, we have gone for a wicked little group of 3 fancy goldfish. Now, this should be a really good little mix for this pond, but first we've got to get them acclimatised. One thing I do want to mention with fancy goldfish is you will need to check how well they will do in your temperature, in your area, all year long. That's the one main thing. Fancy goldfish can be a little bit more sensitive to temperature. Now, where we are in the south of England, to be honest, I've got friends and fish keeping friends that keep them outside all year long, no worries at all. But if you're a little bit more north of England or something like that, you may need to bring them in during the winter. And what we can always do is, when it does come to winter, if we're going to get a really bad frost, we can always pick this up, put it into the garage, run it in the garage for a couple of months, and then bring it back outside when the warmer weather starts. While these are acclimatising, I've got one more gift that I want to sit, well, probably where I'm standing, and just give them a little bit of a nicer area to sit and chill out. The fish have had about 45-50 minutes now, to be honest. All the water is the same in the bag as it is in the pond, so we're ready to release them. So we've got a beautiful red and white fantail, what they called a yellow and white fantail. I think it's a Shabunkini style calico fantail. What a cool little trio of fish. I'm really happy with how this has all turned out. I think it's like a proper nice little chill out zone that you could just sit back, have something to eat, have a drink, watch the fish bumbling about, listen to the waterfall. It's perfect. The fish have only been in there for 10, maybe 15 minutes maximum, and they're already exploring, hunting around the bottom of the water lily. Yeah, I think they're going to settle in really well, and they're going to do really good in here. If you are looking for something to sit on your patio or your decking, or you want something contained, but you still want that water feature and pond vibe, these little view ponds are perfect at it. They don't take up too much room, and well, they're really easy to maintain and build. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Something a little bit different. Nice little Zen garden pond, little chill out area. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I might just chill out here this afternoon, to be fair. I think that sounds like a plan. I'll see you in the next one.